In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 college basketball games happening on February 25, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 college basketball games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Duke versus Miami, Florida. The Duke Blue Devils and the Miami Hurricanes are set to face off this Tuesday in a college basketball matchup at the Bank United Center. The Blue Devils, currently ranked 3rd in the nation with a record of 24-3 straight up and 17-10 against the spread, are coming off a dominant 110-67 victory over Illinois this past Saturday. They were favored by 9 points in that game and easily covered the spread. On the other hand, the Miami Hurricanes, struggling with a 6-21 straight up record and a 9-18 against the spread record, fell to Virginia Tech on Saturday, losing 81-68 as 2-point underdogs at home. These two teams last met in mid-January, and it wasn't close. Duke won by 35 points as -23.5-point favorites on their home court. For Miami, this season has been a disaster, and they're just trying to get through the final stretch. Their offensive struggles are glaring, averaging only 66 points over their last 3 games. That's a major problem heading into this matchup, especially against Duke, which boasts the best defense in the conference. In their first meeting, Miami managed just 54 points and shot a dismal 39% from the field. Duke also controlled the boards, out-rebounding Miami by 21. The Blue Devils relied on their usual stars to get the job done, and it worked seamlessly. Duke has been strong against the spread lately, going 3-0 against the spread in their last 3 games against Miami. They've also been impressive on the road this season, with an 8-1 straight-up record and a 7-2 against the spread mark. Meanwhile, Miami has struggled at home, posting a 5-10 against the spread record. So the Duke Blue Devils to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. When these two teams faced off last month, the combined score was 143 points, staying under the total of 145.5. Miami is clearly ready for the season to be over, and Duke knows this is a game they should control easily, helping them maintain their position at the top of the Atlantic Coast Conference. The Hurricanes have failed to score 70 points in each of their last 3 games and in 8 of their last 15. According to KenPom, Miami ranks 186th in the nation in tempo, so don't expect them to suddenly pick up the pace, especially against Duke's defense, which has held 4 of their last 7 opponents under 70 points. Duke, ranking 279th in tempo, plays a slow, deliberate style with the ball, which further supports the likelihood of a lower-scoring game. The under has hit in 6 of the last 10 meetings between these teams. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Florida versus Georgia. The number 3 Florida Gators are set to face off against their longtime rivals, the Georgia Bulldogs, in a conference showdown on Tuesday night. This matchup comes after the two teams last met in late January, where Florida dominated with a 30-point victory on their home court. The Gators are riding high after a solid 79-65 road win against LSU, where they covered the 9.5-point spread as favorites. On the other hand, Georgia is coming off a tough 82-70 loss to number 1 Auburn on the road, though they managed to cover as 14.5-point underdogs. Florida is clearly the stronger team this season, and their performance against the spread further solidifies their edge in this matchup. The Gators have covered the spread in their last 6 consecutive games, including 4 of those where they were double-digit favorites. They even pulled off an impressive win against Auburn as 11-point underdogs. Georgia, meanwhile, has struggled to cover in recent games, failing against Alabama as 12.5-point underdogs and in their first meeting with Florida, where they lost by 30 points. The Gators dominated that game in every aspect, outscoring Georgia 23-4 on fast breaks, winning the rebounding battle, scoring more points in the paint, and committing fewer turnovers. Florida's defense was suffocating, holding Georgia without a single player scoring more than 10 points. The Gators are currently on a 6-game winning streak, with each victory coming by at least 9 points. Their closest game during this stretch was a 90-81 road win over number 1 Auburn. which speaks volumes about how well they're playing right now. Over these 6 games, Florida has averaged a margin of victory of plus 15 points. In contrast, Georgia has lost 4 straight games, with their last 3 defeats each coming by at least 12 points. To make matters worse for the Bulldogs, Florida handed them a crushing 89-59 defeat back on January 25th. At first glance, this might seem like a good opportunity for Georgia to bounce back, especially since they're returning home and desperately need a win. However, betting against Florida right now feels like a risky move. The Gators are playing at an incredibly high level, and their previous matchup against Georgia showed just how wide the gap between these two teams is. The Bulldogs' offense was completely stifled, and their defense couldn't slow down Florida's attack. These two teams are heading in opposite directions. Even if Florida starts slow, they've shown the ability to turn things around, as seen in their second half performance in their last game. The Gators are also fighting for a 1 seed in the tournament, which means they'll stay locked in and focused for this game. So the Florida Gators to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Statistically, Florida is one of the best teams in the country, ranking in the top 10 for both adjusted offensive efficiency and adjusted defensive efficiency. Georgia's strength lies in their defense, which ranks 34th in adjusted defensive efficiency. They also prefer to play at a slower pace, ranking 235th in adjusted tempo. If this game turns into a fast-paced, high-possession affair, Georgia will struggle to keep up. Expect them to try to slow the game down and rely on their defense to stay competitive. The first meeting between these two teams ended with a combined 148 points. While this rematch is likely to be closer, especially with the game being played in Athens, the overall dynamics still favor Florida. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Iowa State versus Oklahoma State. The 9th-ranked Iowa State Cyclones, who hold a record of 21-6, are set to face off against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. The Cyclones are looking to bounce back after a tough loss to Houston, while Oklahoma State is coming off a heavy defeat at the hands of Kansas on the road. Both teams will be eager to turn things around in this matchup. Oklahoma State has struggled significantly on both ends of the court this season, ranking among the weakest offensive and defensive teams in the Big 12. All 5 of their conference wins have come against teams with losing records, which doesn't inspire much confidence. In Big 12 play, the Cowboys are averaging just 69 points per game while shooting a dismal 41.4% from the field and 31.2% from beyond the arc. Defensively, they've been even worse, allowing opponents to score 78 points per game. Opposing teams are shooting the second highest field goal percentage and the highest three-point percentage against them. To make matters worse, Oklahoma State turns the ball over more than almost any other team in the conference. On the other hand, Iowa State has been one of the stronger teams in the Big 12, despite their 11-5 conference record. They recently lost to a tough Houston team without their 2 best players, but they've shown resilience and consistency throughout the season. Iowa State holds a clear edge in several key areas, including rebounding and forcing turnovers. They're also one of the best defensive teams in the country, which spells trouble for an Oklahoma State offense that has been anything but efficient. The Cowboys will likely struggle to find consistent scoring opportunities in this game. While Oklahoma State has shown some improvement against the spread recently, their overall inconsistency makes it hard to trust them. Their last 2 losses were blowouts, a 32-point defeat to Kansas and a 38-point loss at home to Texas Tech. With challenging games against Arizona and Brigham Young University on the horizon, Iowa State can't afford to overlook this matchup. The Cyclones should have no trouble exploiting Oklahoma State's weak defense, and their own defensive prowess will make life difficult for the Cowboys. Even though Iowa State's top 2 scorers, Curtis Jones and Keshawn Gilbert, are questionable for this game, the Cyclones are well equipped to handle business. Oklahoma State's struggles on both ends of the court make this a particularly bad matchup for them, so the Iowa State Cyclones to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. While Iowa State should have a solid offensive performance, they aren't typically a high-scoring team, even when fully healthy. With their top 2 scorers potentially sidelined, their average of 75 points per game might not see a significant boost. However, their defense has been stellar, and they should have no problem shutting down an Oklahoma State team that has been wildly inefficient. The Cowboys will likely struggle to score and will turn the ball over frequently, which plays right into Iowa State's strengths. In Big 12 play, Iowa State has averaged 75 points per game, but the availability of Curtis Jones and Keshawn Gilbert remains uncertain. Oklahoma State, meanwhile, averages just 69 points per game in conference play, and Iowa State allows only 70 points per game defensively. Given the recent history between these teams, it's unlikely that either side will push the score much higher than those averages. In their last 4 meetings, the games have not only stayed under the total points line, but the teams have combined for an average of just 109 points per game. This suggests that the projected total for this game is set far too high. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Mississippi State versus Alabama. Tuesday night features a massive Southeastern Conference showdown as the college basketball regular season winds down. Mississippi State and Alabama are set to face off for the second time this season. Their first meeting on January 29th was a tight battle, with Alabama narrowly escaping with an 88-84 victory as 1.5-point road underdogs. This rematch promises to be just as intense, with both teams looking to make a statement late in the season. From a situational standpoint, Mississippi State might seem like the more favorable pick. Alabama is coming off a high-scoring performance against Kentucky, while the Bulldogs just gave up 93 points in a loss to Oklahoma over the weekend. However, I'm not entirely convinced Mississippi State can keep this game competitive. The Bulldogs have struggled when facing tougher opponents this season. Aside from a recent home win against Texas Agricultural and Mechanical, a game where the Aggies shot a dismal 35% from the field, Mississippi State has suffered double-digit losses to Florida, Missouri, Tennessee, and Auburn during conference play. In their first matchup against Alabama, the Crimson Tide missed 9 free throws and turned the ball over 15 times, yet still managed to score 88 points and win on the road. Now, with the support of a loud home crowd, Alabama's offense, led by Nate Oates, should have no trouble finding open looks from beyond the arc. Mississippi State's defense ranks 298th in opponent three-point percentage and 310th in three-point rate allowed, which could spell trouble if Alabama starts hitting shots early. If the Crimson Tide gets hot from deep, this game could quickly turn into a blowout. While Alabama does have a tendency to turn the ball over, Mississippi State's defense hasn't been particularly effective at forcing turnovers, ranking just 170th in that category since February 1st. Although the Bulldogs have won 3 of their last 4 road games, Alabama represents a significant step up in competition compared to teams like Georgia, Oklahoma, or South Carolina. Mississippi State is known for its solid defense, but I don't see them being able to contain Alabama's high-powered offense. The Bulldogs rank 296th in the nation in opponent three-point percentage and 310th in opponent three-point rate. This means Alabama, a team that ranks 34th in three-point rate and 152nd in three-point percentage, will likely have plenty of open looks from beyond the arc. In conference play, Alabama has been even more efficient, making 37.1% of its three-pointers and 58.8% of its two-pointers. Mississippi State, on the other hand, struggles from deep, shooting just 29.3% from three-point range while hitting 55.1% of their two-point attempts. In their first meeting this season, Alabama went 1-5 for 3-1 from three-point range, showcasing their ability to exploit Mississippi State's defensive weaknesses. Alabama appears to have moved past its recent slump and looks poised to dominate this matchup. They proved their strength back in January when they defeated Mississippi State on the road, even withstanding a career-high 38 points from Hubbard. The Crimson Tide covered the spread by 5 points in that game and have been solid against the spread this season, going 15-12 overall and 9-5 in conference play. Mississippi State, meanwhile, is 5-9 against the spread in Southeastern Conference games and 3-7 when facing ranked opponents. Alabama's offense is the real standout here. They shoot 48.4% from the field and are particularly deadly inside the arc, making 60.8% of their two-point attempts. They also lead Division I in rebounding, averaging 43.8 boards per game. Mississippi State shoots 45.4% from the field and averages 38.4 rebounds, putting them at a disadvantage in both categories. Alabama also holds the edge at the free throw line, making 19.1 free throws per game compared to Mississippi State's 13.9. The Crimson Tide shoot 71.9% from the line, while the Bulldogs hit 69.3%. So the Alabama Crimson Tide to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Alabama plays at the fastest pace in the country, averaging 74.6 possessions per 40 minutes. In conference play, that number jumps to 75.6 possessions per 40 minutes, making it highly unlikely that Mississippi State will be able to slow them down. The Bulldogs average 67.8 possessions per 40 minutes, which is significantly slower than Alabama's tempo. Both teams excel on the boards, so expect plenty of of second chance points in this game. Since the start of conference play, Alabama has scored 85 or more points in 13 of their 14 games. Their games average a total of 175 points in Southeastern Conference play, the highest in the conference. The Crimson Tide are 8-6 on the over in conference games and 8-2 when facing ranked opponents. Mississippi State, meanwhile, is 5-2 on the over in its last 7 games and 8-6 in Southeastern Conference play. No team in Division I plays at the speed Alabama does. The Crimson Tide average 78.4 possessions per game, ranking first in the nation in pace of play. Over their last 3 games, they've averaged over 80 possessions per game, which, combined with their efficient shooting, almost guarantees a high-scoring affair in Tuscaloosa. Each of Alabama's last 4 games has seen at least 179 points scored, and the over has hit in 6 of the last 8 matchups between Alabama and Mississippi State. Betting the over in Alabama games has been a reliable strategy all season. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.